Hi, I'm Mike Stewart, and welcome to the fourth installment in Adventures in Cigar Rolling. That is, rolling your own cigars at home. In our last video, we actually constructed the body of our cigar, and today we're going to put a wrapper on it. The wrapper is actually what oftentimes imparts the most distinct flavor to the cigar, and that you can have a cigar with the exact same filler and body leaves in the center, and you put varying wrappers on it and get a completely different tasting cigar. What we're going to do today is take the cigar that we rolled in our last video, the body itself. You can see it's been in the mold, and it's nice and cylindrical. Still have a couple small lines where we pinched the leaf a little bit, but I think that's going to be okay. Once we get the wrapper on, we might see that a little bit, but it's not going to bother me too much, and it will not affect the way it smokes whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is first get this ready to actually put the leaf on. I'm going to grab my tuck cutter here, and I want to make eventually a leaf that's about 5 inches long. So I'm going to make this cigar just a little longer than that right now, because then I'm going to then cut the final piece off. I'm cutting one end right now very clean and precise, because this is going to be the end of the cigar that we put in our mouth, and I won't be able to cut that once I get the wrapper and cap on. So I'm just going to take off this last little piece. Again, now we have a nice clean straight edge. That's the beauty of the tuck cutter. It does a wonderful job for us. Let me get this out of the way, and now we're going to get our leaf ready. I think I mentioned we're going to use an Ecuador dark shade wrapper today. You see, it's not dry, it's nice and fairly limp, but it's also not too wet. A leaf that gets very wet tends to tear really easily. But this one's got, I can feel some dampness on it. It's also, I've been having it laying on a damp towel here to keep it from drying up while I've gotten ready for the video. Okay, so let me get rid of this. Okay, just like getting the leaves ready for the body of the cigar, I'm going to tear this one single leaf in half. From the end of the leaf, that is the end that's farthest from the plant stem, I'm going to slowly tear it down that line. And I'm going to be a little more careful with this leaf than I was with the leaves of the body, because if there's a rip or tear in the leaves that go inside the cigar, it really doesn't matter at all. But with the wrapper, you want to try to keep it as clean and free of blemish as possible. For example, this half of the cigar has a couple of holes in it. Right here, you can see here, and then down toward the bottom you can see a couple holes. It would be difficult to wrap a cigar with this leaf, at least on the outer edge, which is where we usually want to. If this was in a factory, I imagine they would just kind of toss this leaf aside and say it's no good. But because we're doing it at home and the overall appearance is nice but not mandatory to be perfect, I'll still use this leaf, but I'll use this inner half of the leaf, which won't be quite as visually appealing, but I'll be able to stay away from these holes that are already in the leaf, and again, it's going to smoke fine. It's just not going to look like I got it at the store. So I'm going to put this one aside, which leaves me with this half of the leaf. Now this leaf does also have a couple of real small holes in it, maybe so small you can't even see it, but there's a small one right here. However, it's close to the very inside of the leaf, and it's not going to affect what I wrap at all. I'll show you that, and I'll show why in just a moment. Here again, I'm taking out the center vein completely. This is actually, at this point, this center vein doesn't do anything to get in the way, but it will make the leaf less flexible. So I'm going to get that out of the way. Now, see, my leaf is nice and limp. I can work with it very easily. All the time that I'm working with the leaf, I'm being really careful with it. I'm moving my hands somewhat quickly, and that's just a matter of experience, how comfortable you feel, how fast you feel comfortable with working. Just trying to smooth it out a little bit. I'm going to smooth out the very edges of the leaf to make sure I don't have any folds, because when I cut this in a moment, if I have folds, I'll end up getting an irregular line on my edge. Alright, now there are two sides to the leaf. There's the side that looks up to the sky and the side that looks to the ground. It might be a little hard to tell it here, but this is the underside of the leaf. what it usually is a little dingier or lighter in color. The veins are very pronounced. You can see the horizontal veins here going across the leaf. This top side, a little darker. I can still see the veins, but when I pull it taut, I'm not going to pull it too tight because I don't want to rip it, those veins will disappear to a degree. This side is, like I said, it's a little darker. It's often sometimes shinier too. Alright, now I'm going to roll this as a right-handed leaf, and the different sides, one leaf will have to be rolled right-handed, one will have to be rolled left-handed. When I say right-handed, and I mean that I'm going to put the, I just lied. I didn't turn it over. This leaf is going to be a left-handed leaf because I want to have the bottom side facing up. And when I do that with this leaf, I have the middle straight line toward my body. I have the outer edge of the leaf, again, that's the point that's farthest away from the plant, to my left. And I will roll the cigar from the outer edge of the leaf in. Before I do that, though, I'm going to cut and shape my leaf. What I want to do is I have this somewhat irregular, somewhat bumpy edge all along the edge of the leaf. I want to take that off. I want to stay as close to the edge as I can for two reasons. One, the leaf's a little thinner, so it's going to roll smoother. Also, the veins that run crosswise tend to get smaller as you go toward the end of the leaf. So I'm going to take my chaveta. I'm going to carefully take off about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch of this outside edge of the leaf. And I'm going to save myself a little bit of the leaf at the end. So now, it's not going real well. There we go. Have a nice rounded edge, fairly straight without bumps in it. This bottom edge here. I'm going to now make a second cut that parallels that outer edge. I'm going to make this about 1.5 to 2 inches wide. Your preference will dictate how big you make it. Also, the condition of the leaf. If let's say 2 inches in I've got a tear or a hole, I need to avoid that because that will tear very easily once I start putting it on the cigar. So I'm going to make my second cut that parallels the outer edge. This second cut doesn't need to be as smooth or perfect because it's all going to get covered over by the next roll of the leaf. Making that cut, making another cut, finishing that off. Now, on that second cut, I actually tore the leaf a little bit right there. I'm going to have to be careful there. But I think I'm going to be okay, especially because it's so far toward the finished product. Okay, so here was the outer point of my leaf. Here was the end toward the stem of the plant. Okay, I'm going to lay it down on my table, on my rolling cutting board. I'm going to get just a little bit of glue and put it on the end of the leaf here. And that's going to help it grab the cigar a little more readily. Now I cut off one end of the cigar. I said this is the end that's going to go in your mouth. And this is the end that you will roll last onto the leaf. So I take this relatively rougher end, the end that I'm going to eventually cut off a little bit when I'm done, and I'm going to start at this end of the leaf. I'm rolling at an angle. I'm not going to go straight up the leaf, but kind of maybe a 45-degree angle or so. And I'm going to start real slow. I'm going to try to fold that end over just a little bit. That kind of helps it grab. Now here's the fun part. As I roll up, I'm going to move this a little bit to give you a little better angle on the rolling. As I roll up the leaf, I don't just push it up there because if I don't have any tension, I'm going to get a very wrinkly wrapper. That won't look very good. It'll still smoke, it's just not going to look very good. So what I'm doing with this hand is simultaneously pulling and stretching the leaf, trying to make it smooth. If I just hold it like this, you can see there's a lot of veins and bumpiness. The more taut I can make it, the more those are going to disappear. Again, though, I have to be careful not to tear it. So I'm going to be real slow with this. And notice I'm